The day that our greatest heroes had fallen. After months of being enslaved, the apples, corns, and pumpkins had had enough, so they started fighting back. But that was when our greatest hero tried saving us, but ended up getting shot in the head and died. And then a random melon named Billy, who was on the battlefield, took his armor and wore it for himself. Billy doesn't know how he gained up this courage, but knows that he did, and then instantly got out there and stopped them. His foot got injured in stopping them, but it was still very worth it, because it meant that Billy would become a hero. And Billy's always wanted to become a hero, but not just by chance, but actually doing something good. And finally, he had. He had saved the village from a couple of ones that had wanted to betray. And that was all he's ever wanted to do, was just help. But he had lost both his feet and a piece of his leg in the process. So, what they had to do was something that Billy did not like. He had to use a prototype called the limb connector. And that prototype, Billy was the first person to use it. Billy was just hoping that in all of the world that it would work. They connected two to his feet, and he was hoping that he would be able to come back with legs. Now he was just waiting for them to enable. Now, the only record they have of this being used is for rebuilding joints, never actually bringing back a complete limb. But Billy had hope and offered to try. And his hope may have worked, but the limb connector still wouldn't work. And the apples, melons, and the apples, pumpkins, and corns were not giving in. They were getting ready for another attack, but more. So Billy had to hope, just hope, that these would work. But even after 2 days, they still didn't work. So they did the only reasonable thing and put on different ones, hoping that these ones would work. Billy had no idea what he was going to go through during this process, because like he was told, these are just prototypes. No clue if they were actually going to work. But it was his only hope that they would. But then, later that night, when Billy's thing was about to work, an apple walked up to him inside of his house, pulled out a pistol, and shot Billy square in the head. And did not stop. He kept on going. Even when Billy pleaded, he still was infused with rage due to the death of his brother. He had killed Billy, their strongest warrior, leaving his dead body with barely even a head. The skeleton was showing. And then the apple was also killed by the limb connector crushing him to a small pulse. The murderer was killed as well. And then everyone was really sad. So sad. So sad that even one of his followers went up to the bulk in the sky, made it freeze, stood on it, then did the unthinkable. He committed suicide. Going out like no one would expect he would. People were so devoted to Billy that even the strongest of people, the strongest of pure hearts, they still loved Billy so much. And to see him die crushed them to a small pulse. He knew that he didn't die to this action. He thought he needed to do something bigger and better. And so he grabbed a grenade and did the unthinkable. He blew it on his own head, leaving him decapitated, destined to die. This apple saw it with his very own eyes, and he thought that he would never be able to go back to his community looking like how he did. So he committed suicide on the same stick as that follower did. To be continued. Welcome back, guys. So it's a change of scenery, as you may see.
Are you seriously making a video right now?
Yes, I am. Now.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Pac-Man 4.
Don't listen to that guy in the background. Anyways.
Dude, he's the best person in the whole wide world.
At the torture ground. There's a person that is dealing with the people that have betrayed. And those people are about to get crushed by a giant moving pole.
You really want to mess
Wait,
with
where'd
me?
it go? Oh, there it is.
Boy, you really want to mess with me. You really want to mess with me, boy.
And then they went bye-bye. But he noticed Billy's dead body was here. Why was it here? So he quickly took Billy's armor, threw Billy down to get rid of the body, took the armor, made sure to take a healing potion, took the healing potion, and then put on the armor. Now, he was prepared for the war that was about to begin. He was Billy's successor. He had a feeling that Billy had came here in his last breaths in hope to find someone worthy of taking his place. And he thinks that Billy made the right choice. But now, they had started to invade. Billy wasn't prepared for this, but he had to fight. Unlike he wanted to, he had to. He may not have wanted to, but he was forced to. One of the pumpkins. Let's do this. He started fighting violently, not caring about his surroundings, so much that he even lost one of his arms. I'm recording! I'm doing a video. And then he admitted to himself that he wanted to cross a place without taking any damage, which was really hard now. Really, really hard. Due to the amount of war that's going on. He put on the prototype, and it worked. The only thing wrong was that he needed help. So he put on a splint. Who's that? This is the guy from the culture. And his name was Jim. He had to take off his armor. He took off his armor and healed himself before he died. He put it on. He put it on as much as he could. He was getting into Billy's armor whenever he lost his legs. But due to the technology that they had, he was in luck. He just couldn't get his last legs on him, even though they were in here. But in the end, he died before he could do his goal. And his armor was taken somewhere sacred. Sacred to the entire world. It was taken to the only water reservoir left in the world. And someone was there fishing and caught the armor on their line and put it on. Because they knew whose it was. They knew it was Billy's. They put it on and they wanted to complete a mission. They wanted to travel across the water unscathed. So he set off for the mission. He started falling greatly, but then got some more propulsion. Everything seemed to be going fine until he crash landed in the water. He survived the fall, but we can't guarantee his safety. He got launched back into the air, trying to make it. And he definitely made it. But was he safe from the top? Somehow he was. At least that's what we think. And then he started free falling. His parachute caught in and saved his life. He had passed the water, and now he was in the enemy zone. He didn't really like the enemy zone. And you could probably understand why, but due to him barely being able to stand, he was in a lot of trouble. Because instantly, apples had started appearing everywhere. No matter where, they would be there. Corns, pumpkins, they didn't care. They didn't want this to be how life would be forever. They all came and tried to rebel hard. They all started coming at the same time. And so Jimmy Bob did everything he could to stop. And he tried and tried, because he was the last person that this armor would get to. If he died, then this armor would fall into enemy hands. And that is the opposite of what the people want. They don't want these enemies to have the armor. They want us to keep this as a sacred treasure from Billy. And with that knowledge in his head, he went full on berserk, killing everyone in sight. It didn't matter how many limbs he lost, he would still go on. He was a warrior, a real one, who didn't care on how much blood he lost. He continued on. And then a pumpkin emerged, wiping off his torso. But in the end, a limb connector found its way to Billy. Except, one thing happened. The parachute had stopped it. But Billy still had hope. He tried taking off all his armor before death. Put it on.
Come and check out my new game. All that I have left to do is to place this ramp here and to extend the bridge just like this.
He put it on. He got back one of his legs, but he couldn't get back one of his arms. But he got it on somehow and got that back too. And then he healed. He got back to his form. He found a regen in the enemy camp. He used it. Got up, got his armor back on, got all the info he could by not putting on any of his actual armor and looking like one of their own. He tried his best to impersonate them by wearing all the clothes that he had gathered from the people that he killed. He had to cover up his head though, and especially his arms. So he put on a bandana, sunglasses, and a hat. But that wasn't enough. His arms were still showing, so he put on a camo suit. Now, he was able to walk around. And he ran into his first prison warden. They had a nice conversation, but then he realized that Jim Bob wasn't actually a part of them. So Jim Bob had to kill him before he could tell anyone else. Someone had witnessed this killing, and right before they could get away, he striked them, slicing them in half. That was how much fury was in his mind. That he didn't care how many people he had to kill, but he would free this place. And then he ran into a pumpkin. And he didn't want to take any chances, so he straight up charged. Crushing the pumpkin's head to just a tiny pulps. He didn't care. He had destroyed the head of that pumpkin. And now, a corn had witnessed that death. So, his only reasonable option, kill the corn. And he did just that. But he lost another limb. He had to use another limb connector. He doesn't like using these limb connectors, but he has to. He lost his foot. He had lost his foot, which was a problem. But he still had the other. He grabbed another syringe, tried using it, but the regen didn't work. So he had to use a healing instead. But now he used a regen, and it worked. Billy tried getting back up. Jim Bob tried getting back up, but couldn't. He had ended up finding another melon in this camp. And he was tied up on a pole. And whenever Jim Bob saw this, he knew that it was time for Jim Bob to go. He was passing on the armor to this melon that he found, who was originally stuck here, trapped. He passed all the armor to Jim Bob. Jim Bob tied himself up in place. And this guy got out of there. He booked it. He didn't want to take any chances. He instantly put on the parachute because he knew it would end up saving his life in the end if he could get it on. But with all the odds against him, he couldn't get it on. Eventually, he got it on. And it may have just saved his life.
But it also broke his foot.
Yes. He got very injured and saw another parachute. Parachuting down. It was one of the parachutes that he dropped. He crashed against the wall. He crashed against the wall. He couldn't get up. He was too injured. He had to use the healing syringe. But he also failed that too. Just like he failed everything else. He was a real failure in life. But anyways. That's not the point. But he put on this armor. His pride. He put on the armor that was given to him. And a pumpkin had used the other parachute that we saw. And came. And then Jimmy didn't want to take any chances. He rammed him up against a wall, pushed his head down, and crushed it. He didn't want to take any chances at all. So he decapitated him with just a kick. He couldn't believe what he just did. But an apple showed up, and he knew what to do. He had to do the worst kill. He completely dismembered him. Corn was there to watch the entire thing. But Jimmy realized this and ended the Corn's life as well. And played ball with the head. He grabbed the head so furiously that he used it like a volleyball. The end.
To be continued.
Yes, to be continued.